to Smash here at VESL alongside Captain Atsuka. I'm Stu, the announcer, rocking out with here. And we have ourselves another, just action-packed card here filled with some of the best Smash players from the high school level in the state of North Carolina. Captain A, I'm pumped. I know you are too. And based on what we saw last night, especially that banger of a set between where Very Confuzzled wound up taking it in 3 games in that Ness Lucas matchup. If that's an indicator of what's to come, Captain A, then we are absolutely rocking out here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that one right off the rip was one of the only 2 matches that we actually saw to go to 3. I mean, our other matchup, of course, was going to be the King K Rule taking on the Little Mac, and then Little Mac ended up taking it in 2 after they dropped that first loss. So again, that was a fantastic matchup as well, where we got to see more of what we would see, I guess, in a higher tier Smash setting. You know, we're seeing the K Rules, we're seeing Nessus come out. Now we're seeing, well, I mean, of course, Lucas as well. And then, also we have the Little Mac. So again, we're getting more inclined to what is, I guess, is considered the meta. So again, it is really interesting to see how many of these picks are just coming out in droves. And not to mention, also, we got to see some great Palutena yesterday. We got to see Cloud come out, but unfortunately, they were on, the blast zone side of that fight. So again, just some exciting picks and honestly some exciting matches. So I can't wait to get into today.
And that's the thing, especially at this level where you definitely are not going to be quality averse, let's say, because these kids have lightning fast reflexes and they're starting to mesh the game theory side of things with the natural born reflexes that have been gifted to them naturally. You're starting to see that come together, and it's at a level where you're seeing them pick the character that they want to succeed with. Because there's enough evidence of this where you have Peanut, a very good Little Mac from the MDVA area, succeeding with probably the worst character in the game. Maybe Mega Man isn't a meta-defining character, but Peanut is probably the best in the Carolinas right now. And you're seeing people really succeed with the character that they want to play, the character that they feel most in tune with. And it doesn't matter if that happens to be a high tier like Palutena, or if it's the Little Mac, like we saw with Daniel last night, alluding to the set against the K Roll Infinite Spin. This is one of the things that fascinates me about high school Smash, and certainly we're going to see that with Taiua 0598. I think we're pronouncing that correctly. We might get a check on that, and it's going to be an interesting matchup as we're going up against what I believe is going to be Jamal the best 7. So again, it's whoever they feel comfortable playing, right? It doesn't matter necessarily what it is, as long as they feel it's the best choice for them.
Oh, 100%. When it comes to these picks, like, don't get me wrong, I can, cite tournaments that I've seen all the live long day. We can talk about the meta for what it is. But at the end of the day, I am a firm believer in comfort picks over anything else. You have got to go with where you are comfortable. You have got to go where you're going to play your best. And, that could be any character. I mean, this roster for Smash is huge. Probably the biggest out of any FGC out there currently, at least. I mean, we could talk about Marvel versus Capcom too, but even there, I don't even think they're coming up to the current Smash roster that is available.
It's approaching 90, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to offer here in Smash, and again, there's just so many different characters that I actually seen and actually gotten a lot of gotten a lot of conflict, or rather I've gotten a lot of fire come my way because I'm not the biggest fan of Cloud. Everybody puts Cloud in like some imaginary S tier sortie, but I guess we just saw them get clapped by Palutena yesterday. I'm not impressed all that too much with Cloud, even though I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, but it just goes to show that it's not necessarily what the grand scheme of what everybody else would rate a character. It all comes down to who is playing the character behind the sticks.
Exactly. And the thing is, Cloud, I wouldn't say is the best character in the game. However, you have who is arguably the number 1 player in the world and was for quite some time, Spargo, who's piloting said Cloud. Of course, the sortie extraordinaire from Tijuana, Mexico, who, just coming up into adulthood, really, and has been absolutely crushing it for the longest time and has been doing so with Cloud Strife almost throughout the life cycle of this game. So when you're talking about, what character you might feel comfortable with, it's how much you can exploit the what the character gives you. I mean, okay, Cloud's recovery, not exactly automatic. You have to be really smart with your routes, especially off stage, underneath the stage, if you're going to survive, because even if you want to press a button, they take a little bit of time to come out and certainly a little bit of time to recover from. So, what can you do with that to exploit it? You have so much range. And Cloud, undoubtedly a top tier in this game, but if that's not your preferred pick, man, you can do the same thing with other characters. If you want to just exploit that back air, Donkey Kong has pretty much the same thing, man. Like, I don't know, and that up air. You have a lot of range, you have a lot of weird stuff that you can do with different characters. And just because they're down low in the tier list does not mean there aren't certain things that you can exploit with said character. I mean, Ganon's smash attack should be proof of that enough.
And again, just for funds, they gotta love the heated debate on Ganon being technically the heaviest swordie in the game, given that he has that one sword move, whether or not it makes him a swordie. But at the end of the day, again, like you were saying, it does come down to that comfortability. And again, we got to see some really interesting picks yesterday as well. And I gotta say, I was having quite a good bit amount of time reminiscing about the days of yore during Brawl and Melee. Talking about the meta days of Meta Knight. That was fun. We got to see the Meta Knight come out again in Ultimate, which was really fun to see. That Inkling again going toe to toe with some pretty good characters. Again, that D2D matchup was also really nice to see. We got some Zero Suit Samus action as well yesterday. Again, going up against that Inkling. And again, it was just a lot of reminiscence. It was giving me a lot of nostalgia, for the early days. Well, not necessarily the early days, but for more of the earlier days of Smash competitive, again, looking back to like Brawl and Melee and just remembering the good times. But I'm wondering if today, what type of picks we are going to see. We had heard throughout the chat and maybe even a little bit throughout what possibly could be future prospects to look out for. A Game and Watch pick. I'm expecting to see somebody out there maining a Game and Watch, which would be nice. I love a good Game and Watch pick. And I already told you yesterday, I love those cartoony characters. They add a little bit more of a comedic feel. I love me some Duck Hunt. Give me some Pac-Man. I actually really love Pac-Man. And then also a pick rate recently that has been kind of like skyrocketing a little bit is Falco. Falco has been such a phenomenal pick. Out of all the Star Fox characters currently, has got to be like the number one pick. And their pick rate has just been going up and up and up lately.
Yeah, certainly in Melee, you're seeing a little bit of an increase. Obviously, like one of the best Melee players of all time, Mango, was a Falco main for the longest. But even then, Falco has such an interesting history within Ultimate, because people were debating whether or not, is he the absolute worst Spacey by virtue of Wolf and Fox being so high tier, or is it just that they have so much stuff that you can exploit, especially when you're talking about, fast falling into up smashes with Fox, or the down smash covering so much ground with Wolf. Like, I mean, are you fans of the character, or are you fans of their frame data? Let's be real. But Falco does have that potential to KO that so quickly. I mean, the glassiest of the glass cannons, getting you into what we like to call those movie butter combos. You grab yourself some popcorn and you're ready to go. But you're talking about a little action that's fit for the cinema. Let's talk a little bit about Incineroar versus, buddy, it's your favorite. It's Cloud.
Oh yeah, not to say that I don't like Cloud. I actually love Cloud. I just think they're overrated, maybe even a little bit. But regardless, here we are on Final Destination, and you cannot ask for a better map between these two characters. This one should be an absolute doozy. But to start things off already, you can see that Incineroar has already eaten 100% damage.
Yeah, and that is as much of a danger, or as much of a detriment to the Cloud as it is to the Incineroar. No recovery there, no attempt to, as I'm wondering exactly what happened there with the Incineroar. Look, would have expected a jump or something, but I think we're going to be talking to the admins about what exactly is going on, as something very clearly went wrong, and they are indeed calling lag. So will be interesting to see what the situation is between that. But again, Cloud versus Incineroar, and I want to talk about that map pick specifically on Final Destination because I talked about how those characters they kind of struggle to recover, and we are apparently going back to it. And oh, you side beat right into the forward smash. That's going to be trouble. That's the whole problem with Incineroar. You gotta be willing to figure out those routes for recovery because what I said that Cloud struggles to do. So Incineroar, definitely no exception. You do not live off of the stage. You die off it.
Oh, absolutely. And, again, just because Incineroar is, a pretty heavy brawling grappler, I feel like Final Destination, given that there's no platforms, it is a little bit wider. It would be a good map for them because there's no really trick angles or, there's really no way to avoid much of the abilities that are coming from Incineroar. But right now, this Cloud, again, also have the same benefits, from this map. Cloud is going to deal a lot of damage given that you really have nowhere to go. There's no way to run from Cloud, and we finally start to see a little bit of a resurgence coming from this Incineroar as they hit that clothesline that nearly was able to get the elimination, but nope, it's not going to be enough, as it will be Jamal the Beast coming away with a 3-stock win over Tiao.
I mean, definitely Jamal the best, but take that A and give him an A+ for that performance. That is absolutely nutty what we saw. That Cloud, 3-stock victory, and it would seem quite convincing. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the impact of that first stock. Did not seem like Tayua had entirely all that much control over it. There's just no real effort to recover there, at least on the game screen. But whatever the case may have been, we know what character we know who had more control over their character at the end of the day, and it was that Cloud. Again, exploiting that big hitbox that gets thrown out. That disjoint comes in a lot of use against a character like Incineroar. So, going to be working out the kinks there. Certainly, that Incineroar, not an impossible path to victory, but we are getting real tricky with it as JDB is going to be stepping into the contraption, breaking out Bowser Jr. here.
Okay, so this is interesting, and because I haven't seen a lot of Bowser Jr. I've seen a lot of Bowser, but not too much Bowser Jr. I mean, they're definitely a niche character, like those that know how to play them do some phenomenal things. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if Jamal the Best, who is also a beast, is going to be able to work this little baby Bowser. Meanwhile, we're looking at the first stock taken off of baby Bowser, and that Cloud has finally taken the first lick of damage.
Okay, so apparently that was Jamal the Best who was the Cloud. So we just had the name switched around. Either way, it's JDB again with that Cloud who's absolutely rolling through. But that jab, it's one of the most powerful in the game, and not going to be enough to get the KO at 65%, but certainly powerful. You're going to want to watch out for that at ledge, the same way that we were talking about maybe Ness or Palu back throw. You're going to see Bowser going for jab because that last hit is potential to KO at triple digits.
And I also think it's interesting that we decided to go back to Final Destination because I feel like a map with some platforms, maybe even Pokemon Stadium 2, could possibly benefit this baby Bowser a little bit more than, say, something like Final Destination. But once again, baby Bowser looking a little worse for wear as they are in the danger elimination potential, and they get hit with the cross slash. Still not enough to confirm, but my goodness, it is just looking so dangerous for that baby Bowser as they finally will lose their second stock.
See, the theory is that, and eventually getting the F smash off of the ledge. The theory would be not necessarily for the advantage that it gives Bowser Jr., but for the disadvantage that it might provide Cloud. You're wanting to catch out landings, especially upon recovery. If they happen to miss ledge, you can punish that with something like side B, keep them in the disadvantaged state if you're able to confirm. Even with something like up smash, it might be of benefit to a Bowser Jr., and the more that you can control the negative space with something like the neutral B cannonball, with something like Mecha Koopa, it provides a lot of potential for some of your trickier setup moves, as Limit is going to be wasted there. Hitting through the side B is the cannonball. And again, you're talking about setup strats. Some of the more advanced Bowser Jr. players A fellow Philadelphian by the name of Yoda Cage comes to mind specifically, Captain A, then we're talking about a lot of potential for damage that could be had here if Taiua is able to get their act together.
Yeah, and now take a look at this. That up throw looking awfully good for the side of Cloud. They do use the limit breaker, and it wasn't able to connect. Looked like it got blocked, but that will just about do it. The final stock now gone off of Ty, as it will be JDB Jamal DeBest to take the dub with Cloud, this time with 2 stocks to spare.
It's it's JDB, and you got to think that is one of the shortcomings of Bowser Jr. And again, one of the things that keeps it from moving up the tier list just a little bit, even though there are very good character specialists with that character, among them being Yoda Cage, Sweshy, another Philadelphia regular, and even people like TM7 Zap and Ketchup across the United States and across the world. You're talking about individuals that have really dedicated themselves to learning this character, working the ins and outs, all the setup strats. As we go to yet another game here, we're going to be looking at, I'd say, some. Okay, I'm thinking they're saying that the
Incineroar match didn't count.
yeah, it may very well be, but either way, JDB rolling through, and what I will say that Bowser Jr., it's not impossible for them. It's just they need to be smarter about how they're utilizing, especially that side B, because your best movement option is literally just Sonic Spin Dash, except unsafe. And you saw that because as soon as it got shielded, all that Cloud had to do was dash attack on the ledge, that big hitbox providing everything you needed. Bowser Jr. couldn't do anything about that.
Right now, it looked like Bowser Jr. was doing everything in their power to avoid that limit breaker, and they did a pretty decent job. They were able to use the utility to create that space, but now the limit breaker is gone, and the Cloud's not going to need it. That's going to be the first stock, once again, gone off of this baby Bowser, as we're getting right back to the action, and limit breaker, once again, back online.
A real member of Avalanche needs no limit break, and Cloud Strife proving as such. You're talking about a character with the Buster Sword, the size that Cloud Strife possesses. This is something that has plenty of straight hit KO power, and you're seeing it right there, piling it on with the smash attack, not with the intent to KO, but just the punish, the pile on damage. I can do this all day, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. I know that clown car ain't four-wheel drive, bro. Don't even try to front.
That air slash was perfect going off stage. Caught baby Bowser with the limit breaker as well, sending them into the blast zone. And there you go. That's another stock gone. Meanwhile, you do have Cloud still holding on to their first stock. And now only one remains for baby Bowser. This could very well be a 3-stock victory, but baby Bowser starting to answer back a little bit. We see Cloud now in the red of those damage percentiles, 89%. Baby Bowser might want to capitalize here if they're going to try and take at least 1 stock off of Jamal DeBest.
I mean, if you are the baby Bowser, the way that you have to play neutral is you have to rely on Cloud getting over aggressive, because again, if you get that Cloud swinging its sword in the air, the landing is heavily punishable. But do you have the wherewithal? Do you have the resources? And most importantly, do you have the positioning to be able to take advantage of that? Thus far, the answer has been no, and JDB has been able to take advantage, dashing back into the F smash. That is a 3-stock victory. Catch a body, JDB.
Oh, absolutely. What a fantastic performance. And again, that's how Cloud is meant to be played right there. Good execution through and through. And again, really controlling the map of Final Destination. Again, there are definitely some counters to this Cloud that it just didn't go the way of Baby Bowser. Again, and Final Destination also did not do them any favors. It's just a solid, flat stage, no platforms, and honestly, it's one of my favorite stages because of that. So again, you know, it was just Cloud in the playpen, having a good old time. And you know what? It looked like they were having a good time too.
Yeah, it looked like they were feeling themselves. And the thing is, in theory, it can work out for Junior, but you didn't see it. I think it works a little bit better offline than it does on, because Cloud can exploit the movement of Bowser Jr. so much. especially because you're trying to travel quickly with that side B, the sidecar. You have to either jump out of it or you're skidding, which is a full, 20, 30 frame commitment that the Cloud can react to quickly with the neutral air, with a forward air, even. I mean, you can even just wind up for an up smash if you want to just cover the short hop real quickly. It's a tough situation for Bowser Jr. to be in. Again, one of the things that holds that character back is the fact that some of its stuff is so committal. Now, if you're willing to lab it out, if you're willing to lab out some setup strats, then you can do some things with the Bowser Jr. But the Cloud is going to be what's moving on. Sometimes simple is best, Captain A.
Oh, absolutely. But with that being said, that is our first match of the day now officially in the books, and we're going to be taking a quick short break. You know how it goes. We got to get one, then you give one, and then we got to take a break. But it's all good and gravy because don't you worry, we're going to be right back with some more North Carolina Smash right here on VESL right after this.
Right on. Yeah, we are back here in Vessel. We're still waiting for a few of the players to show up, at least for the league. But Captain Atsuka, we have ourselves a little bit of a treat, a little bit of a best of one. Some of the Vessel staff got into it, and they decided to make like the old Nintendo campaign and settle it in Smash. We got ourselves Risk and Joe out here. Kirby versus Lucario.
3, 2, 1, go!
Baby.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is where you have to settle the dispute. You got to settle in Smash. And so far, it looks like Joe is going to get the upper hand, and I'm guessing Risk just happened to gracefully fall, intentionally or not, off the face of the earth and lost their first stock.
Yeah, no, I mean, Lucario, definitely one of those characters that you can cheese with. It's the one character that maintains Smash 4 Rage for whatever. Oh my goodness, this Kirby. What's going on, bro? What's going on? Kirby. You ain't about to do this to the man. I know you ain't.
It's
Okay.
a shame, too, because this match is going to determine who has to stay late.
True, yeah. Oh my gosh, all the extra hours of processing videos, man, which is going to take at least 50 hours, you know? Like, we're going to be done with our sets on Thursday by the time they're done. But, got the down B? Oh, we just spamming down B now, huh? That's how it is out here? That's how it is on these streets, Kirby? I got you. Oh, and got a little lost in the sauce there. It's all good.
Just a little bit. And again, you know, we got Lucario trying to, I guess, find their footing a little bit here, but instead they're going to find Kirby's footing right on the back end. Nice little foot cup as we find ourselves back to the stage.
Risk on the Lucario, man. This is kind of getting batted around a little bit at 87%, but again, higher percentages can favor Lucario as well. Sure, you go flying, but as shown there, oh my, the fall through platform into the down B, not like this.
Well,
Not
Risk
like
is
this.
Risk is going to just have to stay late. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They're going to have to handle the cable management once this all wraps up today.
Oh,
they're on
that's
cable duty now.
tragic. Yeah, dog. I don't even know what to tell you. That's just tragic, bro. Man, Risk. We gotta have a heart to heart, bro. Like that was, like we gotta have a come to Jesus moment here because that was a little, man. Was it Risk's decision to put that on stream? I'm not sure because that's we gotta have a discussion, bro.
I really don't know if I would do worse than that or not. Like normally I'd be like, oh, what? No, they are way better than me. I would have done so worse, but I don't know if I would have. You know, honestly, I feel like Captain Falcon is just such an easy character to start with, difficult to master. That I don't know. I feel like I can hold my own against at least that Lucario from Risk. Am I fired? Do I get fired for that?
I don't know, but someone is demanding that we go to break. So if you're getting chewed out, then that's on you, buddy. So we're going to get right back with presumably some Vessel action, unless we got more grudge matches happening in the office. So either way, man, we're going to be back right after this with some high quality Smash, one way or another. Don't go away. You're watching Vessel. Welcome back to Smash here at VESL alongside Captain at Salka. I'm Stu, the announcer, and yeah, getting back into it with VESL League action for real this time. We're getting into it. Armadillo 490 against the Ryu of Enlightened Moai, the World Warrior, enlightened indeed. Gonna have to see how some of these pummels are able to keep away with what used to be the quintessential grappler in all of Smash. Still definitely that, Captain A, but my oh my, does Bowser have more than just grabs on his arsenal.
Oh, absolutely. One thing I'm going to be looking at is those down beast edge guards, as well as the flamethrowers on the edge guard as well. But I got to tell you, this is a match that I'm definitely looking forward to. This one's fun. I mean, you got Ryu and Bowser. This is going to be awesome because you know it's going to be a lot of close quarter combat. This is going to be straight brawling out between these two somewhat heavy hitters. I mean, Bowser literally a heavy hitter, and then you have Ryu who is just throwing hands all day. Look, there we go, another Shoryuken that does connect, and now being able to hit the forward smash. Look at Bowser already down a stock here, even though they are ridiculously heavy.
Yeah, I mean, Armadillo 490, unfortunately, just making it all too easy for Enlightened Moai to hit these focus attacks. It's if you're landing with an attack all the time, that means you are staying there for a long period. All you need to do is shield, or, I mean, God help you if you get parried, because then you're pretty much in danger of getting whatever Ryu wants to shove into your face. That's just like all the punches, all the DPs, all the Hadouken setups. Like, you have everything going against you if you're coming down with an attack. And Enlightened Moai just barely missed spacing that is going to be punished. But again, when you're making yourself predictable, that means you're liable to be parried here.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we did see that first stock coming off of that Ryu did come off of the edge guard, and that was one thing that I think is going to be the biggest advantage here for Bowser, is that their edge guard is really good. Whether it's going to be the down spike or that flamethrower, if you can get Ryu off stage, again, you got to remember, they don't have the best recovery, so if you can get that Ryu off stage, you're just going to nearly guarantee yourself a stock every time. Meanwhile, look at Ryu off stage, able to take the Bowser down into the blast zone to get the second stock, and now the lead over Armadillo 490.
The thing about being heavy is that you go down real fast, especially when that is where Ryu sends you. That forward air, again, catching weak hit that time, but for that second stock, if you want to edge dodge, if you want to dodge right below the ledge, then that's fine. Ryu will take that any day of the week, and sent down with meteoric force, as this Ryu, with full rage now, is going to get flying slammed on the platform, and now we're at one stock each. We're at 115, livable here on Pokemon Stadium, but man, oh man, is this Bowser angry. It's just a matter of, can they capitalize on it? The answer is no. Not able to get the jump into the corner. That is a F smash right from the center of the stage. Ryu, with no shortage of power in his own right, Enlightened Moai, enlightened indeed.
Yep, no Timberlands, no Doc Martens, just the bare foot of Ryu dealing all the damage there again with that forward smash, being able to end that one out. Still a phenomenal performance coming out from that Ryu just to start things off. And then also to say that Armadillo 490 also gave us a good display of Bowser. Again, whenever they were able to get Ryu off stage, that edge guard was coming through, but I didn't see any flamethrower. I did see a lot of those flying body smashes though. Again, those did come in handy, especially having those upper platforms just to try and send them that much further into the blast zone, because PS2 again has the shortest height out of any of the other maps. But now we're going to Final Destination. Let's see if Armadillo 490 will have any better luck here.
Yeah, I'm seeing a few too many full hops, I think, from Armadillo 490 is the whole problem, because yeah, you do like to pepper in the down airs, but they shouldn't be your main offensive weapon, because you do not take to the air going above your opposition. If you're Bowser, you want to be able to pursue off of the throw with the forward air especially, which has so much range, but you really need to be able to dictate what happens on the ground by keeping them in and out of your shield, either by threatening shield breaks with your heavier attacks or with your command grab, your flying slams, whatever the case may be. Certainly your regular grabs work too, but if you're Ryu, you gotta you really have to whiff punish, and that's what Enlightened Moai has been doing better than Armadillo 490 thus far.
And now we're going right back to the center stage as that forward throw does yeet Ryu off stage momentarily. And now here we go. We go back to the edge. This is an opportunity here for Bowser, but they miss the drop kick. And now they find themselves on the other side of that edge until finally Bowser able to take the first stock off of Ryu off of a nice up air.
Yep. And now Armadillo 490 trying to get to work, but Enlightened Moai cutting off the momentum, keeping him off stage, and is going to Tatsu back. Good movement option to get back to the stage, but again, in very real danger of being punished. Dropping the shield right in the face of the focus attack. Enlightened Moai reading him like a book thus far, and even though Bowser's awfully angry, that just means you go flying even farther. But the focus attack not going to send him off the way that perhaps he might have anticipated. Looking for the KO here. How are you going to get the setup? Your attacks are going to send him flying even farther. Oh, and still getting tagged, and it is going to be the up tilt that winds up taking Armadillo 490 off of the top, and this Bowser is taken to its last stock.
And we see that again, another down spike there with the Turtle Shell able to deal the damage. But I gotta tell you, Ryu is coming off to me deceptively heavy because they are taking some pretty heavy damage without being sent skyrocketing into the blast zone, where I feel like other characters at this point would have been sent to the great beyond. Meanwhile, it's gonna be Bowser that is going to be sent to the great beyond, and I guess Turtles also get flushed down with everything else. That is going to be a win going the way of the Enlightened Moai, as they are able to take that win over Bowser on Final Destination.
Yeah, that Bowser proving to be toothless against Enlightened Moai. That is a 2-0 victory for the World Warrior Ryu. And that's the whole thing, is that you have a lot of heft to you. What comes in mind when you think of heavy? Probably large in terms of size. And that can mean a lot of things, obviously. Certainly, you can be combo food for some of the lighter characters, but also you are getting you're giving a large target for Ryu to hit. And certainly someone as precision as Ryu, you have to think, I mean, guy can land a punch between the eyes of a mosquito. Let's be real. But someone who is really good with Ryu, really practiced, can get those confirms, was getting a lot off of focus attack. And the main reason for that, Captain A, was because he was punishing all the attacks from coming down on landing. The down airs, the big flying slams, like those things are going to be punished, and punished heavily. We saw eventually the adjustment from the up B to the down air because it has a little less landing lag, but still not nearly enough. You saw the Ryu more than happy to space it out properly, get the focus attack, and that's just free damage. You don't need to be giving that up. But again, Enlightened Moai, sometimes all you need to do is see it out to victory. That's what we saw from this very good Ryu player. Let's be real.
Oh, honestly, for sure. Because again, you know, I see Bowser as one of my favorite heavies, and honestly one of the best heavies in the game. So anybody that can handle up on a Bowser so confidently, like we just saw, you know, that Ryu do, is worth mentioning. Again, they were able to go toe to toe. Most people are afraid to get that close to Bowser, but not Ryu, especially when we're considering our brawlers. A lot of people are not that comfortable with Ryu. When it comes to the Street Fighters, you're more often to see a Ken than you are that Ryu, simply for the more devastating Shoryuken that comes with Ken. And, you know, again, having that extra ability just does wonders when you're trying to go for those up airs, the up tilts, everything else, especially on Pokemon Stadium 2. Ken, there's just so much going on there. Ryu still quite the heavy hitter themselves, able to do the damage, and they're able to take the win. But with that being said, that is going to wrap things up for our second series of the day. But don't you worry, when we come back, we're going to have more Smash for you right here at VESL. Do not go anywhere.
We're getting right back into it here at VESL. Captain Atsoka and Stu the announcer. I mean, I got your name right, had to figure out mine, but one thing that we don't need to figure out is the effectiveness of Luigi and Inkling online. Certainly, it's a lesson that was learned by Coco Moon and Dat Marshall, who we're seeing right now in the Termina Bay Battlefield version. I like that choice.
Yeah, I was about to say, I have honestly not seen this map in competitive Smash before, honestly. And if I'm not mistaken, this has got to be Majora's Mask, right? I mean, we're talking about Legend of Zelda. You got the creepy moon in the background. It's giving me some Majora's Mask vibes. But with that being said,
Bay, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful of this Luigi. Again, we've even mentioned it yesterday. Taking those Doc Martens to the face on a Luigi back air could be the most devastating dropkick in the game.
Yeah, and of course, the potential of a 0 to death if you know that combo. We've seen a few Luigis throughout the years pulling that off. And in fact, #1 player in the world before Steve, they were a Steve main, Akula was a Luigi, so certainly knows that tech. It's one of those characters that if you know how to play Luigi, for some reason you just become godlike at literally everything else. So many of the best players in the world used to play Luigi.
Yeah, I was always the player too, you know, on the Super Nintendo playing Mario. So yeah, I was always the Luigi guy in that regard. But with that being
Luigi
said,
was the better one. Yeah.
Not gonna get into that debate. I don't even want to go there. Meanwhile, the first stock is taken off of Coco Moon, and Luigi is gonna be at least player 1 for now, as they currently have that 1 stock lead.
Yeah, and sitting at 131, but again, that headbutt is so exploitable. You gotta... I think the optimal play there is to actually do the headbutt, charge it up below the ledge, and then recover to the ledge with the up B so that you're snapping to it. It's a lot less punishable because otherwise you're headbutting right to stage and you're liable to be punished, such as Coco Moon did there with that F smash. You just get that raw because there's so much recovery at the end of it. As you skid your face across the stage, you're met with a paintbrush. Let me cover up those scrapes real fast. Coco Moon going for the raw F smash. Coco Moon is a madman, and I'm so respecting it right now.
Oh, absolutely. Not to mention they're applying a lot of paint. That was a good paint bomb right there on the edge. But look at the back throw from Luigi, able to get Inkling off stage. The recovery is there. And you go, and again, having these 3 extra platforms, definitely going to be throwing something into the mix, as it will be the up smash from Luigi to get the 2nd stock off of Inkling.
Get read like a newspaper. Oh my goodness, Coco Moon. That was not exactly optimal. Turned right into it. Dat Marshall going for it raw as well. You usually see Luigi's try to set up into that. In fact, it's one of the confirming hits in that 0 to death. But, I mean, Coco Moon, you just got their movement read. I don't even know what to tell you. Dat Marshall lined up the shot and hit it, every last bit of it. Goodness gracious, Captain A.
Well, absolutely, but now you can see they're sitting at 133% damage, but they are enraged, and nothing is more dangerous than an enraged Luigi. Check Mario Kart for confirmation, as it will be Luigi getting sent straight up into the blast zone, and now we're down to 1 stock apiece.
Yeah, and we're seeing some really good fundamental gameplay here from Coco Moon, realizing that was punishable. Probably was looking for the parry instead of just shielding that because you were out of range to hit that F smash. But then again, you're an Inkling. You're able to move in and out pretty quickly. You can control the negative space with the sheer amount of speed that you bring to the table. And looking to use that dash attack, but winds up going through Luigi there. And is going to look to add on just a little bit more with the jab, splat bomb setups, keeping Luigi on the ledge. We'll be looking for something big here, but you can't be going for that F smash raw. If you swing for the fences, you are liable to strike out. And Dat Marshall just sees it through. A lot of momentum on the side of Coco Moon, but ultimately dissipated by the patience of Dat Marshall.
And, you know, I feel so in tune with Luigi, you know, like, again, I relate so much to this character because we throw out a lot of damage, but run out of breath very easily. You know, I mean, he's pooped after that one, you know, he didn't have really much left in him. And, you know, I can respect that. As a matter of fact, I don't go anywhere without the old puffer here. So, again, much respect to Luigi. I understand a fellow asthmatic when I see him one. But with that being said, again, the plunger, oh my goodness, the plunger throws. Those were so pivotal in that fight. Again, we got to see them take 2 stock stocks just from using the back throws on the edge with the plunger. And again, you just got to avoid it. I mean, there's really not much left you could do, but like you said, when you're swinging for those fences with those raw forward smashes, it leaves you vulnerable to the plunger attack. So let's see if Coco Moon is going to be able to adapt and react and avoid the plunger going into game 2.
Pokemon Stadium Battlefield version feels a little cursed, not going to lie. But nevertheless, we are going back again to Triplats. Something about them that I guess either Coco Moon or Dat Marshall simply prefer, as we are going to get into it. The dash attack, very effective in this version of the game. Going to pile on a little bit more damage, but that was awfully committal. Maybe hoping for the misfire there at 41%. If you can't get the 0 to death, you got to find other ways to cheese stocks, I suppose.
And you know, that's another thing I'm really noticing with this Luigi. This is something I've been looking for, is that we saw a lot of the back throws, even some forward throws, not too many down throws in that first game, but now we're starting to see those down throws into the up tilts, and it looks like they're going to be looking for the up air. Remember, PS2, again, with that low ceiling cap, could be very useful to Luigi with their up tilts to up airs.
It's going to be a back throw, however, with the flood. You got to appreciate a good arm off of the grab. And that is going to be stock number 1 in favor of Dat Marshall, who's going to be looking for even more. Again, the up tilt, not doing too bad. But again, if you're able to get those short hop down airs confirms out of 0%, you can take a stock pretty easily that way. It takes a little bit of practice, Captain A, but it can be done.
I honestly think that the plunger from Luigi is like the only surefire confirmation we have that Mario and Luigi are, in fact, plumbers.
Oh my goodness! How about that? You think a plumber can throw fists? Maybe not quite like Luigi, but that's how you clear the pipes out. 3 stocks to 1. Dat Marshall absolutely on fire.
Yep, that they are. Now they're only 1 stock away from taking the series 2-0 over Coco Moon. But look at this. They get put in the dirt. Weren't able to capitalize on it, though. A missed opportunity from Coco Moon, and that can come back to bite them.
It could very well, but we're getting a headbutt right into the face of Coco Moon, who's getting hit by these attacks all too frequently. Maybe you got to slow down just a little bit, because if you're dashing, yeah, I get it. That Inkling dash is really nice, but you're going to get caught by the down air. Well tacked by Coco Moon, and now is going to stay alive at 108%. You got 3 stocks to work with, but you hit the shield, and you're getting back thrown as a result. Can you recover? But you're hitting the shield yet again. Back throw is going to take the stock. Coco Moon has absolutely no room for recovery.
Yeah, unfortunate. It feels bad right now for Coco Moon. Again, you know, they got to give Luigi a taste of their own medicine with that back throw finish on that stock. But the way we start will be the way we end, on a nice, solid back throw coming from the plunger of Luigi. Dat Marshall planking on Coco Moon and getting the win.
It was all too simple for Dat Marshall. And the thing is, you can implement a very varied game if you are Coco Moon. If you're playing the Inkling, you can throw out a few more of the aerials. You don't need to rely on dash attack the way that Coco Moon was doing. And it's unfortunate because you saw the adaptation come out so quickly from Dat Marshall. A much more convincing win in that game number 2, even, because of just how simply it was done. You had the Inkling charging in at 100 miles an hour, and what happens when you're faced off against the bull? You play the Matador, and that's what we saw with the Luigi, the shield into the back throw for 2 of the 3 stocks, and the other ones, we could have seen that game end a lot earlier if Dat Marshall were able to hit some of those confirms, especially at those early percentages, which is sort of the Luigi special. As good as your aerials are, as quickly as they come out, and as powerful as your options can be, you're also susceptible to getting outpaced in the neutral, which Coco Moon will need to on that, the mental side of their game, in terms of what they're able to throw out and how they're able to challenge game plans like what Dat Marshall was able to implement so effectively.
Oh, and not to mention, this isn't the first good Inkling. You know, you got to give it up to Coco Moon that they are a really talented Inkling. And, you know, we also got to
Oh
see
yeah.
one yesterday that went the distance on a King DDD and, you know, won that one single-handedly. So I expect to see more good Inklings as we move forward. But for the meantime, that is going to be a win for Dat Marshall on the Luigi to wrap things up for this series. But with that being said, once again, you know, we got to head to a quick break. But when we come back, don't you worry, we're going to be back with more North Carolina Smash right here at VESL.
Welcome back to Smash here at VESL alongside Captain Atsoka. I'm Stu, the announcer. And again, rolling on through. Yeah, that's you, bro. That's what I'm saying. But no, we're rolling on through, casting some of the best Smash that North Carolina has to offer, some of the best talent that the high schools of North Carolina have to offer. And we've seen some interesting stuff so far. And as we're at about the halfway point or so, Captain A, gotta say, we're talking about how interesting it could be watching the next generation of talent and how they choose their picks. We've seen everything from the high tiers to the low tiers to the weird little sort of middle ground characters that could go either way. You know, things like Luigi and Incineroar. I mean, it really just goes to show that there is a character out there for you in this game. It might just take some time to find it. It really just matters about what you value in a character and what you value in terms of your gameplay, how you want to implement your game plan, and to what effect it can be done using the tools that you have. Certainly, no better contrast to styles that you could ask for than the Pythra and Dark Pit.
Yeah, I just like to call them edge guard Mythra because it's pretty much what they do.
Really?
It's edge guard Mythra. That's what we're looking at. And now they're going up against the Pit, which I've actually seen some more Pits lately. But again, Pit just, and again, it might just be me, but Pit just does not do it for me. Again, there's just really not too much knockback. I just don't see the elimination potential with Pit. I'm sure it's there. It's just for me, I just cannot find it.
No, and that's the whole thing, is that there are characters that do what Pit does, maybe just a little bit more efficiently, a little bit more effectively. But that being said, Pit, not a bad character at all. I happen to have a Pocket Pit. Dark Pit varies ever so slightly, just in terms of the properties of the arrows, as well as some of the damage data on the side B. But other than that, just about one-to-one replication, as Dark Pit going to utilize the spacing that forward air provides. Up air, one of the better juggling tools in the game, but when you're able to throw things out like that, the Pyra dropping down the blade, and it lands heavy on the head of Pit. That will draw first blood in this best-of-3 clip, as Fleths going to do it. Fleths? We will figure that out. Either way, boy's got a sword and knows how to wield it. But Evolved Human, the Pit, is doing pretty well themselves as we even things up at 2 stocks apiece, courtesy of an up smash.
Yep, and again, you know, I like what we're seeing from the Pyra Mythra so far, and again, you use that Mythra just to get those damage numbers up. You gotta pump those numbers up. 33%, 38%, those are rookie numbers. We gotta pump those up, and that's what the Mythra is gonna do. And then you bring the Pyra in for that finisher. Again, they got the big knockback potential, especially on the edge guard. So again, we're seeing pretty much just the meta Pyra Mythra gameplay. As you can see now, Pyra does come out just for a little bit of a flame dance there, as that one does land, doing a good amount of damage, and now it looks like Pyra Mythra starting to break away a little bit.
Yeah, we're starting to see the separation come through just a little bit more. We don't see the number of stocks, but believe me, it is getting to be just a little crazy as the Mythra. This is one of those skins that just absolutely enrages me, because you got the Mythra with Pyra's hair color and vice versa, and now Evolved Human going to seed that second stock, not able to make the recovery happen. It's a large deal with Pit, because one of the main points of emphasis is the fact that you have the multi-jump and that up B that has so much range to it. I mean, you can do quite a bit with Pit's recovery if you know how to do it, although you are pretty much married to going straight to ledge.
Yeah, we'll now take a look at this. We're going to be playing the long game, using Pit's arrows to try and keep Mythra off stage, but unfortunately for them, Mythra does recover. Back to the center stage we go, and now Pit goes a little bit off stage, plays towards the edge. Mythra goes for that forward slash, doesn't connect, and now the back throw from Pit will force Mythra to recover. Once again, that forward slash is going to connect, and that will be another stock taken off of the Pyra Mythra.
And this is one of those interesting differences between Pit and Palutena, is that as powerful as Palutena's back throw is, you're getting that power with the forward throw. Back throw certainly can do the job at certain percentages, but sitting at 130, I mean, really, at any point in triple digits, if Pitt is able to run up and get the forward throw on you, that's nearly an automatic KO, especially on a stage like Pokemon Stadium 2. So I imagine that Evolved Human is going to want to sit there, try to hold court in the middle of the stage. And if they're able to draw the Pithra towards the ledge, that's where you could see the KO potential shine through, as we're going to run forward and get the F smash instead. Why wait to triple digits when you can do the job right now? Swinging them swords and swinging them hard. Evolved Human, the adaptions are being made, and now it's up 1-0 for the Angel here over the Pithra.
Yep, and I gotta say, I absolutely love it, just because, again, I definitely Captain Castor cursed the Pyramithra there, just because I'm talking about how much I'm not a big fan of Pitt. But with that being said,
I didn't want to say it.
You know what would be?
I didn't want to say it.
But it's true. The Captain Castor's curse is a real thing. That's why Captain be Captain. But regardless, it's the perfect counter pick to a pit. How many times can you say that? 15 times fast. Doesn't matter. The perfect counter pick to a pit. It'd be Kratos. I know we're never going to get Kratos in Smash, but there's something comical to me about Kratos, who has literally slayed and massacred every single Greek mythological being to ever exist. And just imagining Pitt going up against Kratos, to me, is just hilarious. But can you imagine if they ever did? A man can dream, right? If they ever added Kratos to Smash, it'd be one heck of a time.
You know what? That might be fun. Although I will say there is a character that literally hunts angels in this cast. So it's not exactly like you could very well see the Bayonetta counter pick just for storyline reasons alone, right? But then again, you're talking about a character like Pyra and Mithra who is able to implement their game plan so efficiently. They're a rushdown character with a distance. That in of itself makes this almost unfair, really. But if you're able to get off the aerials like do, and really if you're able to get a little bit more efficient with the Nair, especially getting it on drag down, would be so huge in terms of confirming stocks just a little bit earlier, not having to rely on rushing up and forward smashing. Drag down into down smash would be so good, because that thing comes out at around frame 5. It is so quick, and like I mentioned, packs a little bit of a punch. Evolved Human not having any trouble there, sitting at 49% and up a stock, Captain A.
Yeah, that they are. Meanwhile, this Pit looking oh so good in peak form. They were able to take the first stock and only gave up not even 50% damage. So again, they're looking really strong until finally Mithra does find an opening, able to find some damage, but now Pit is returning the favor.
Yeah, and just tacking it on, trying to build up that lead. That is an awfully committal option to go for in the middle of the stage. That side B, again, we were talking about really heavily committal moves. The end frames on that thing can absolutely spell disaster, but never punished. Evolved Human still just that maybe they've evolved past the point of my understanding. But the thing about Pit, you're able to pursue everything through the skies, and you're gonna spread your wings and fly. Get that KO courtesy of the forward air.
Yep, and there you have it. Pit now on the cusp of a 3-stock win here. Granted, they are in the danger. They are at 100%. So, honestly, if anybody can get the knockback potential to send Kid Icarus, to send Pit into the blast zone, it would be the Pyra. And that's exactly who they have out right now. But Pit, again, just making it a little bit more difficult than it might need to be, as they have to switch back to the Mithra and back to center stage we go.
I would say that there is a path to victory here for Fleece if they're able to make it back to the stage, because you're seeing Evolved Human get a little button happy. They're more than willing to press the buttons as soon as you possibly can. So maybe patience is the name of the game here for Fleece, but not showing it to the extent that they might need to. Evolved Human eventually going to seed that first stock, but still potential for the JV3, as you're gonna get, again, committing to that side B. I understand you want to finish it with style, but sometimes the key is to get the deaths by 1,000 cuts. You had 997, and all you needed was 3 more from that up smash. It's going to be Evolved Human 2-0 over Fleece.
Well, there you have it. I mean, again, for anybody like myself that may have doubted Pitt even a little bit, now we can see, again, it's all about who is behind the sticks and who is making this character worthwhile. And clearly, Evolved Human knows what they're doing when it comes to Pitt. They had a phenomenal game against the Pyramithra, and Pyramithra, considered one of the more meta characters, really high up there in a majority of tier lists, also considered one of the better sorties. There's a lot going on when it comes to a Pyramithra, so seeing them being kind of upstaged by a Pitt, I gotta tell you, it's definitely one of the delightful surprises I've gotten to experience so far here at VESL.
Pitt is one of the most underrepresented characters in competitive Smash, and it's surprising because, again, as you might have seen, Captain, this is not a bad character by any stretch of the imaginations. Very quick, very powerful attacks. Again, down smash coming out at something like frame 5. I want to say it's not even that much slower for the F Smash. But if you want to know how to play Pitt, I will say DeBuzz has a very good guide on how to do so on his YouTube channel. Highly recommend it. And you want to talk about confirms into out of drag down neutral air. If you want to know how to most effectively implement edge guard tactics, where to stand to fire off those arrows, that is the way to do it. And that is how you can really perfect a Pitt that is going to tag people that don't really know the matchup all that well, just because it is so underrepresented. And that's going to be something that I can't wait to see how Evolved Human further increases their aptitude or evolves going forward. But we'll have to see what is up next for the North Carolina Smash scene right after this break. Don't go away. You're watching Smash at VESL. All right, we are back at it. Smash at VESL Knight versus Who 3609. Who on the K Rule, Captain A? I know that you were ordering up some K Rule action. Well, you got a battle of reptilian beasts here: the crocodile versus the frog of Greninja.
Frogs are amphibious.
It works.
No,
Either
it
way,
doesn't.
I'm rolling with this no matter
Swamp,
what. You're acting,
I'll agree with swamp creatures. We'll go with swamp creatures. Any
works for
Hoosers.
me.
Any Hoosers, Greninja is absolutely a devastating character, especially, going up against the right opponent, but I don't know if King K. Rool is the right opponent. Greninja, fantastic off stage. They are really good at sending players and carrying them into the horizontal blast zones. But with that being said, against a player like K. Rool, who is insanely heavy, Greninja not having the best knockback in the world, and of course you have the belly armor that can send the water shuriken right back at you, and then, oh goodness, that substitution jutsu was so clean. But with that being said as well, a lot of Greninja, their focus is doing a lot of damage off stage, and honestly, King K. Rool can hold their own off stage. One of the best recoveries for a heavy, and not only that, but you're on Final Destination. So again, a lot going against this Greninja so far.
Yeah, and we are seeing the crown being implemented by Who 3609. It's going to be a quick little nair to send him off the stage at 161. That frog is going to go flying. I don't think frogs are supposed to live in the air there. But again, at 122, still surviving the benefits of being a heavy character, Captain A.
Oh, absolutely. And now not only that, but they're also enraged. So again, that's going to be a nice little bit of bonus there for K. Rool, as you can see. Who 3609 now using that crown. I love to see it, because remember, we were talking about a K. Rool yesterday, who didn't really use the crown much, but unfortunately that crown is not going to save you from a drop kick from Greninja.
Yeah, now tied up at 2 stocks apiece, looking for the counter, but Who taking their time to get back to the stage, and as trying to throw out the aerials. Knight showing the tendency to counterpunch, which I think is the smart move for against K. Rool.
Let's see what they can make of it here. I mean, again, it's going to be important, really important, I think, to try your best to break the belly armor. Although I don't even know if Greninja will be able to do that. But with that being said, again, K. Rool just have so much. They have so much in their arsenal that can really be a nightmare. And right now, Greninja just seems like they're doing more avoidance than they are dealing damage.
Which is kind of the play. Like, you can't really slow down if you're Greninja. You can only find your ins and outs, because you're meant to be. The good news is that you can play at 100 miles an hour. The bad news is you kind of have to in order to make your game plan work. Now, the thing is, you can obviously trick the K. Rool into making mistakes, but when you're getting those jumps caught into that vacuum, that's when it becomes just a little bit difficult, because it's such an all-encompassing option. The only thing that you can do is kind of wait, and you're made to slow down as a Greninja, which interrupts your entire flow. You want to be putting them in the blender. You want to keep them above you at all times. You want to be able to take advantage of the fact that they don't have a platform to escape to, especially on Final Destination. So now when if you're Knight, you're trying to keep them in the air and trying to keep them at out of ease, and you're doing so just fine, confirming that KO with the forward air.
Yeah, I was kind of also like, I'm stumped right now, because I'm wondering where the recovery was coming from K. Rool. I felt like they definitely could have recovered from that. I don't know if they tried to bait out the Greninja to join them off stage. Not sure what the play was there, but it did not pay off for them, as clearly they are now down a stock, trying to finish the second stop off of this Greninja, and now they might just do it, but no, the recovery is there for Knight.
Yeah, still working through at 149. As long as you're able to make it down below the stage, you're generally good, but you're in the clutches of K. Rool when you're landing above him. And now at 36%, this is far from over, as Who is going to take the slight lead over Greninja. And the forward throw trying to confirm things. Good drift backs from Who. You're seeing the formulation of a game plan here.
Oh, absolutely. And as far as damages is concerned, like, you got to understand, it takes a little bit more damage on the K. Rool to really have that elimination potential for Greninja. I mean, when you're looking at it, 100 percentile looks a lot different on Greninja than it does for a K. Rool. Oh, and the belly armor, water shuriken returned back to sender. Again, that belly armor, one of my favorite utilities from K. Rool.
And looking for the belly splash at the end, just wants this game to be over, but Knight is going to hang around just a little bit more, and that's the thing. I don't think you need to be going for these big swings if you're K-Rool, because it's as you mentioned, triple digits on Greninja looks a lot different than it does for K-Rool. You're going to need to tag him just a little bit more. You're really only losing if you're losing center stage. Misses on the F smash just below where Greninja was supposed to be. Slippery as you would expect a Ninja Frog to be, but Knight, goodness gracious, living up to the name, fighting valiantly to the very end.
I really thought that was the game, but the belly armor comes through again. The counter will land. King K. Rool once again will reign supreme here in round number 1. And what a way to start things off. Oh my goodness. But that Greninja though, again, just putting up such a great fight. I really hope we get to see another bout. I don't want them to switch characters.
Yeah, no, the Greninja did not do poorly at all. I don't see any reason to switch characters. Perhaps the stage pick would be of necessity here for Knight, because who was doing a good job at letting the game come to them in waves necessarily. There were ebbs and flows to this, as you saw. But when we saw the Greninja get a little button happy, who was more than okay with letting it come to them at that point? Because hey man, look, we both have counters, we both have really good all-encompassing options that cover a lot of space. But guess what? I have that belly armor, and that's pretty much my bread and butter. That's my first option, as opposed to your counter kind of being your second. What I think the Greninja needs to do better is implement the grab game just a little bit more, so that you neutralize the counter options, so that you can grab through belly, or at the very least clank or something. If you're able to get behind K. Rool and get him to commit to something with a really high frame commitments, then I think that's where you're going to see the Greninja open up a lot more opportunities for himself and be able to put him in the blender like we saw him do really well high above the stage, but not so much at the lower levels where you want to see the K. Rool start to fastball into your hitboxes.
And it's so dangerous too, because again, I feel like Greninja, they are really, really good when it comes to being on the lower side of, off stage, going low off the sides. I feel like that's where you can do a lot of damage, especially with Greninja's down spike, or even baiting out with a substitution jutsu. There is just so much that Greninja can do. But with that, the big problem is that K. Rool is probably the best heavy off stage. And again, they have so much to work with, not just with their recovery, but also, like you said, they have those down spikes as well. And not to mention K. Rool's down spike is quite devastating. So it's going to be high risk, high reward play. But honestly, I'm thinking if Knight wants to pull out this win, they're going to have to go for more high risk plays.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. You could have that debate as to whether or not K. Rool is the best one or whatever. But we're waiting on who Knight is leaving. I don't know if this is mind games going on. We were talking about how to win games without pressing buttons. Certainly that could be a way to do it. I'm not really sure what's going on with Knight, but what we can say, who doing a pretty decent job for the Durham School of Technology. Seeing a little bit of Bull Durham action there, the way that they're throwing that heat. But who is doing all right with the K. Rool? Again, a character that you see a little bit more online than you do off. Really, the only K. Rool that's been doing anything of note, two. Ben Gold, who's probably the best player in Australia, and Kirby Kid from your neck of the woods in Louisiana.
Oh, absolutely. Got to give it up for the Kirby Kid. Again, arguably, again, debatable, the best K. Rool in the world. But, again, your boy from Australia probably holding it down for the 9-9 and 2000 and for the K. Rools out there. But with that being said, we're going to get right back into the action and take a look at this. Something I didn't expect. But actually, maybe, considering that the map change involves a platform now, maybe the change to Kazuya could have been the right call here for who.
It makes you wonder, because you want a character that can hit hard, but isn't going to suffer the downsides of being a heavy. Well, Kazuya definitely has a little bit of weight to him, but goodness gracious, Kazuya, I will say, it's essentially Luigi adjusted for inflation. Like, this guy can absolutely pile on the damage with just 2 or 3 interactions, gets a final smash ostensibly with the Rage Art Heaven's Door, and now you're going to get the 10-hit combo, Electric Wind God Fist to the face, and Knight pulling out all of the stops to try to avoid death at the hands of Kazuya Mishima. But that could be a foregone conclusion if Knight is able to win one more neutral interaction.
It was so funny because back when during the Battle for the South Smash LAN, I think I may have seen the fastest Kazuya just win. I think in the top 8, or it might have been top 8, it might have been top 32. Jazo came out and won the match in 54 seconds. They took the first stock and then immediately did the kamikaze dive off the stage for the following 2. And I got to tell you, it was one of the best Kazuya plays I've ever seen.
Jazo is so good at so many games. Not a surprise that he would pick up a character like Kazuya, given that he is so adept at other fighting games titles too, getting a top 8 at Rise and Grind on Street Fighter 6 and just barely missing it in Ultimate as well. I believe that was a 9th or 13th place finish for Jazo in that particular tournament. But again, we're talking about just Kazuya in general, who has definitely made his presence known in multiple top 8s and indeed taken a few tournaments in the hands of certain individuals like T and Riddles, most notably. Knight now trying to avoid the same fate that so many others have suffered at the hands of the Mishima clan. I mean, these guys have fought bears, pandas, not really sure about frogs.
Well, let's see how they're going to stand against this frog. I mean, so far, not so bad. I mean, it's pretty even for the moment, but I mean, look at this Greninja. You're literally having a brawler go up against, you know, one of the speedier brawler types. I mean, again, this is a fighting water type according to Pokemon lore. So again, a lot can happen with this Greninja. As you know, before with that K rule, you know, you had Greninja really trying to work the in and outs, and now it just seems like Greninja trying to out combo this Kazuya.
I mean, you probably think back in Pokemon lore, who was the original ninja in the Pokemon games? Yeah, that's right, Fuchsia City Gym leader Koga. And what did he rely on? Trickery, mastery of technique, specifically being able to pick the spots where you attack, not just pressing buttons all the time. You're seeing Knight start to get the hang of that a little bit, and who not able to steer the Kazuya all the way to the ledge there. Knight doing well enough to take it to one stock apiece. We'll have to see just how well Knight is able to utilize the movement options of Greninja, because that could very well be the spot. Kazuya is really good at planting their feet and punching. So what do you need to do? You need to debase Kazuya. Really good at throwing out those middle hitboxes both in Tekken and in this game. You have to get his feet moving. You have to get him chasing you, because again, you got to get him charging in like a bull so that you can indeed play the Matador.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting because I feel like we've seen some opportunity for Greninja, but who? Not going to give them any opportunity. An uppercut straight to the little frog jaw of Knight is going to put an end to them. Who coming away with a 2-stock victory overnight?
Oh, man.
Did you like the pun I did there? You get it like overnight? Like,
yeah,
like overnight?
I got it.
Overnight shipping?
Got it. That's one of the reasons I'm covering my face. But goodness gracious.
Overnighted him straight to the blast zone?
Oh, no, actually escorted to Valhalla. I don't even know what to tell you. Like, the Greninja was trying to use double team, and Kazuya saw right through it and then uppercutted him into the Pokemon Center, bro. That was utterly... who impressed me, I gotta say. And this is not to knock Knight at all, who showed a very competent Greninja and really was a few interactions away from being able to turn that game too within the early parts of it. You saw the formulations of the game plan coming about. Stick and move. Make them work for it. But the thing is, you flew a little too close to the sun. I realized that we saw the Kid Icarus character, but you got a little too close to the beehive. Therefore, you got stung. And that's going to sting in terms of a defeat for Knight. But who, tasting the sweetness of victory there, we are going to take a break to see who else can perhaps pose a challenge to some of the brawlers here in the state of North Carolina. Don't go away. You're watching Smash here on VESL. Welcome back to VESL here at welcome back to VESL. Yeah, we're gonna keep on going here, and it is who was playing Kazuya before, and now he's gonna get ready for the next battle here as Bowser. Coco Nate breaking out a very unorthodox choice in Piranha Plant.
Hey, didn't I tell you I've seen some higher pick rates of Piranha Plant lately? Didn't I tell you I've been seeing more Piranha Plant? I'm not surprised that there was at least one. I would have been surprised if we didn't get one. Again, Piranha Plant, very fun. I love Piranha Plant. I think, first of all, I think they're cute. If I could get away with it, I would boop a Piranha Plant on whatever they have as a snoot.
Yeah, that's a big old if, brother. I don't even know if you're getting away with that at all. This is a character that, keep in mind, if you are crouching and you land on Piranha, if Piranha Plant is crouching and you land on them, you automatically get attacked. They built that into Plant, but who is able to connect with it just fine? I mean, this is Bowser, keep in mind. You work for me. I don't think you forget, but Coconate showing a little bit of subordination there. This Plant turning against Bowser, and now we're at 2 stocks apiece. You can do some things with this Plant, but you basically live and die in your ability to edgeguard.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Piranha Plant's rated E for everyone. I think Bowser just threw them there because they knew if anybody crosses Piranha Plant, it's on sight, you know. So granted that Bowser put them there, you know, but you know what? I think Piranha Plant's just rated E for everyone. You can get these mandibles, you can get these leaves, you can get this bite, you know. But right now, you know, it's still Bowser clearly in the lead right now, looking to set this plant aflame. Remember, Pokemon lore, plants are weak to fire damage.
There you go, but who says, you know what, sometimes I don't need the flame, I got these hands too. But the forward air, again, just not in range enough for the cannonball to work, and is doing just enough to tack on damage and make itself a threat, but it's still a full stock lead. I don't think you need to be relying on your specials so much in neutral. I think you have to rely on that as an edge guard tool. That's what the cannonball is for. That's what the poison cloud is for, is to threaten upon get up, and is doing just enough to stall themselves out to avoid the up smash, and gets one of their own. We're at 1 stock apiece. It is far from a foregone conclusion until that happens.
Yep, that'll just about do it. A nice drop kick from Bowser. How about that? But really, we just got to talk about Who for a moment, because can we just point out that Who so far has showed, you know, advanced knowledge and mechanics with 3 different characters right now. They started out with the King K rule, they moved to the Kazuya, and now they're going over to Bowser. This is clearly a very versatile player. I mean, more often than not, the rule of thumb is that you want to have at least one character in your back pocket. This player, Who, is confirmed now to have 2 other, you know, choices to go to. They have 2 full pockets. So again, just the amount of game knowledge this player has for 3 separate characters, to me, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you're seeing the commonality between the 3. Now, I mean, 2 of them are heavies, so obviously you're able to do a lot in terms of grappling, in terms of the ability to mix up what kinds of attacks that you're using in terms to abuse the rock, paper, scissors mechanics that fighting games usually bring about, but also the ability to hit like a truck for maximum damage, even when you're not able to win neutral all the time. You're seeing this Bowser more or less be able to dominate the Piranha Plant. And I do think that that's a matchup specific thing, if I'm being completely honest, Skipper. But at the same time, the aptitude that they showed with Bowser, certainly nothing to scoff at, because you saw them hit their confirms, you saw them able to really dominate the neutral, even through the ability to throw out a cannonball. You need to be in the face of Piranha Plant, because that cannonball is just going to go right over you if you're simply not afraid. And if you're able to do that, you're rewarded so heavily as Bowser, who is, again, willing to get in there and grapple with you, able to hit those command grabs and some really, really powerful attacks.
Absolutely. And you also got to keep in mind that, Final Destination, the map itself did not favor Piranha Plant by any means. I mean, I think it would have been a little bit closer had we gone to maybe even Pokemon Stadium 2. Nice little default map there, nice little 2 platforms. Even there, I think Piranha Plant would have stood a better chance. But, and with that being said, Final Destination, it really does favor players like who love to go for that up close and personal fight, who love having those grapples, who like having just that flat plane to really take advantage of their brutal strength. And then not to mention with these heavy type fighters that especially K. Rool, you have to sacrifice a little bit of damage to find an opening to deal a lot of damage. And that's the type of play style we're seeing from Who. They took some damage for sure. And not to mention they got 2 stocks taking off of them. And it's because they give up a good amount of damage in order to find those openings, to land those big heavy hits. And now the way it started might just be the way it finishes. We're going back to King K. Rool.
Yeah, but I was thinking, I mean, if it's not going to happen on FD, it's probably not going to happen anywhere. But here we are going cruising. Lilac Cruise is the destination for Coconate and Who 3609. Again, I think a little bit of a strange choice with the attacks that they're choosing to do. A little bit of shield pressure, but how about pressure? The down air spike from Who 3609. Again, Piranha Plant, one of the heaviest characters in the game, packs a punch as well, is able to get the stock right back at 2 apiece. But again, if you are Piranha Plant, you have to live and die off of your ability to edge guard. Finally getting a little bit of that here, but needs to be able to charge up the Poison Cloud in order to supplement that.
Yeah, they did manage to get it off a little bit there, and now you can see already they're going right back to work on K. Rool, forcing them off stage. But the recovery, once again, coming through from K. Rool as that second spike ball does land, looking for the confirm, and that time the Poison Cloud nearly perfect there as it did deal a little damage.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make it a guessing game. If anything, you want to put it below the platform so that you make Who try to recover to the platform as opposed to getting back up from ledge straight away. But that cannonball is going to connect. Who just a little slow on the recovery. Such is the strife of King K. Rool, and we are all even in game number 2 at 1 stock apiece.
I'm telling you, you got to put respect on this Piranha Plant, especially when you have someone like Coconate who is a good Piranha Plant. Like, this is how you play Piranha Plant. I mean, yes, there could be adjustments made, but I think there could be adjustments made on every single character, every single player that we have seen today. And you know what? I gotta really just applaud Coconate for coming in with such an unorthodox character and then giving someone like Who a run for their money. Who is a very talented player, clearly, and they use that belly armor to reflect the damage back on Piranha Plant. But look, Coconate still not giving up.
I mean, we're seeing Coconate do a lot of very risky things. With Piranha Plant is going to be the down smash that winds up taking game number 2. And this Plant's got some teeth about him, going to gnash away to a game 2 victory. As improbable as it may have seemed, Lilac Cruz turned out to be the correct pick. And weirdly enough, Captain A, it was a lot of the work that was done on the flat ground that wound up being the difference in that one.
Oh, absolutely. Also, I don't think that the size of the map, first of all, the size of the solid ground that they had, I think was a little bit small. And again, I think that may have made things a little bit difficult for K. Rool because, again, they like to throw out that utility. They like to bait and switch and force their players in. So when you have that small amount of space, that Piranha Plant has some pretty long reach. So again, I think the map selection was actually kind of good, considering or at least assuming that pick came from the Piranha Plant. So with that being said, again, those 3 platforms, having those there, I also think kind of threw a wrench for the King K. Rool pick. I think that might have made things a little bit difficult. But honestly, like you had mentioned earlier, it was the edge guard play that came from that Piranha Plant that was so good, landing those spike balls off stage, getting those stocks, and really keeping K. Rool with their backs against the blast zone consistently and not perfecting the Poison Cloud, but still they're on the right track. I think going into this next match, that Poison Cloud is going to be nearly perfect.
The thing is, when you're doing stuff like Poison Cloud and Cannonball, you're not just trying to hit the opponent. You're trying to tell the opponent where they cannot go, where they cannot afford to be, because otherwise they are truly getting lost in the shuffle. This is where you go if you want to suffer horrendous damage. You'll see that a lot in terms of really heavy projectile characters like Samus or even Villager, where they're going to try to dictate where you go and try to make you commit to jumps, to try to commit to movement options that maybe you as a character are not comfortable with. King K. Rool is very exploitable in that fashion. So you're able to get them going up the platform just a little bit more. If you're able to get them jumping and maybe even trying to make it a little safer by committing to Nair, guess what? You have options out of shield. You have that jab that tacks on 20 to 25% damage. You have options off of tilt, and you even had that little cheeky down smash, which wound up getting the final KO at a pretty decent percentage from the middle of the stage. So yeah, when you're seeing those recovery options come about, every time they miss, it's only going to enforce who to go to the opposite way to make sure that they're not getting hit by it, because that second stock showed it's very capable of picking up a KO if they're not careful.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Again, I'm just really loving what I'm seeing coming from the Piranha Plant. But now I'm wondering, for who, are they going to switch back to the Bowser? Could we possibly see, the Kazuya come back out? Or are they going to stick to the K. Rool? Again, this player in particular, you can't get a read on him. As soon as you think that you know what they're doing, they pull something else out of the hat. Again, I'm expecting, that they were going to stick to the Bowser. But no, they brought K. Rool back all of a sudden. So again, who is just such a diverse player that, again, they really have a repertoire of characters that they can select, and again, just kind of throw a wrench into anything that this Piranha Plant pick might be trying to come away with. And again, we're still trying to decide on a map, but I mean, if it's in the hands right now of someone like who, I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up going back to Final Destination.
I wouldn't be shocked either, and that's a very good shout. Could very well be the case, but we're talking about the commonality between the three characters that Who has played thus far on stream. One of the things that is essential for either K. Rool, Bowser, or Kazuya, you need a deal of patience with either of them. That is what Coconate is going to have to test if they are going to taste victory here in game number 3. We're going to be going right into it, and all of a sudden a change up on both ends. You're talking about characters that rely on traps and setups and projectiles. Banjo and Kazooie going to team up against the King Koopa himself, as Who will pin their hopes of tournament victory on Bowser here at Northern Cave.
I hope that I have just been debated and this is like the best Banjo and Kazooie the world has ever seen. Like, again, starting out with the Piranha Plant doing really well. And I'm wondering, if Coconate, it might be just another... Okay, never mind. I was going to speak too soon, clearly. Maybe not. I don't know. Regardless, I was hoping that Coconate might be one of those players like who's just really good with a multitude of characters, and then having Banjo and Kazooie be that niche character. And so far, they're doing pretty well, all things considered.
But that's the whole thing. You're seeing the things between Piranha Plant and Banjo. How Piranha Plant likes to throw out projectiles that you want to avoid. Well, guess what? Banjo has an option that you can't avoid. The side B, that Wonder Wing, it's pretty much invincible on startup. You cannot deal with it. That's why Banjo has a limited number of them, because otherwise you'd be seeing Banjos doing that quite a bit. It is a resource that they have to take care of, and when you're forced into doing that, you have to pick your spots, because otherwise they're going to be shielded, it's going to be telegraphed, and you're not really going to have a good time with it. So you have to supplement in those halfway decent tilts and smash attacks just to sort of debase Who a little bit. And now you're seeing the F smash coming through as Coconate all of a sudden on the cusp of victory. Barely seemed possible, but then again, this isn't your ordinary bear.
Yeah, you also got to keep in mind that, Banjo has a weapon. It's Kazooie. You can see that you're using Kazooie as a melee weapon here, and it is working phenomenally, being able to apply this damage, but you got to keep in mind Bowser is just so heavy as the flying slam does land. Now Banjo in the red, but still have that one stock advantage, as once again they're using Kazooie to deal out that extra damage, and now finally the second stock is gone off of Banjo.
Yeah, that down smash is going to clear it out, and Banjo all of a sudden back against the wall with one stock each. As good as who has looked, Coconate has been willing to roll with the punches to the settling of everything indeed. As Meteor falls on Northern Cave, it will be the end of the road for either one of these two. No live stream to help them here, as at 98%, who getting tagged with a bunch of damage. This is one angry Koopa, Captain A.
Not the Banjo and Kazooie. I know what Who is thinking right now. There's no way I lose to a Banjo and Kazooie.
Oh my goodness!
And there you have it. Who manages to save the game? They will not go down to Banjo. Who still coming out with the win with King Koopa.
A horrific turn of events for Coconate, having it registered as him landing on the platform and decided to Wonder Wing. That stalled out his momentum. And what do you not do when you have a power hitter? You put yourself on a tee. And that's exactly what wound up happening. Banjo being having registered as landed on the platform, you gave yourself such a big target for Bowser. And if that came out just half a second earlier, I think you recovered to the center of the stage. I still don't think it's the optimal strategy in that particular situation, but that is such a bad break for Coconate, who played that extremely well. A very solid Banjo, all things considered, that took Who to the very edge, part matchup check, part outplaying him, but Who earning that victory 100%, saw the opportunity, and what else could he do, Skipper, but take it?
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, I'm going to chalk that one up to an error, just because I feel like if Banjo and Kazooie, well, if Coconate didn't unfortunately fall to their own demise, going with that unfortunate, off ledge drop that they lost that first stock. If they didn't do that dolphin dive off stage and lose their first stock, I think they win that. I think they win that match. I really, really do. That was such a phenomenal Banjo and Kazooie. And you know what? Coconate now might be one of my favorite players in this league, simply because they were able to completely debate me. I think they also debated Who, for that matter, because they come out with the Piranha Plant, and they're playing such a good Piranha Plant that you're thinking, oh, this is their main. This is what they're going to do. They're going to get the win with the Piranha Plant. And all of a sudden, hold on, I got my Super Saiyan Super Banjo and Kazooie that you didn't even know about. But regardless, we are clearly seeing some great plays and great players here at VESL. And we're going to have more for you right after this break. Do not go anywhere. We're going to be right back with more North Carolina Smash right here at VESL.
Welcome back to Smash here at VESL alongside Captain Atsoka. I'm Stu the announcer. We're going on to another match here. Fenris 1321 versus Jaywalk 39. We have them both in lobby. And again, we're talking about how comfortable you might be playing your specific character, Captain A. We've seen that come to fruition in so many ways. One person playing 3 characters throughout the span of 5 games. In Who 3609. That's a name that's going to stick with me for just a little bit. But these individuals, Fenris and Jaywalk, we don't quite know a whole lot about them, but they are definitely about to make their presence known here.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll be honest, I'm expecting a really good fight. I really am. Expecting a great bout, and I'm expecting a great game. But with that being said, they got one tough act to follow. I mean, that previous matchup with Coco, Nate, and Who, oh my goodness. And, you're saying you're going to remember Who, but I think I'm going to remember Coco, Nate for quite some time. But in the meantime, let's get back to Fenris and Jaywalk 39 as we get things underway here on Final Destination, and we got ourselves a good old-fashioned Pokemon battle.
Exactly, the electric and water stuff, it's all neutralized here because this Greninja hits like a truck. We saw some Greninja play earlier on and it was not a successful endeavor for Knight, but still quite good. We'll have to see if J-Dub is able to pick up the W at the expense of Fenris, the Pikachu.
And I see this is going to be interesting again. Nothing beats just a good old-fashioned Pokemon mashup. You'll love to see it, and especially Pikachu, who has literally been in Smash since N64, the OG, the original. So again, you love to see, well, personally, I love to see the legacy characters, but also how things have evolved over time in Smash to where they include newer Pokemon like Greninja.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Oh, beautiful, confirmed. Fenris knows the deal. The up throw into the Thunder, put him back up, drag him back down, send him on out. And that's a lot of damage to accumulate all at once. Good recovery there from Fenris. This Pikachu kind of knows what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've been seeing them really maneuver here. And you know what? It's really interesting because I have for a long time considered Pikachu a very speedy character, and I don't think that's too far off. But, I like the amount of control that I'm seeing from Fenris. They're playing more zoner than speed right now, and it's really paying off for them.
Yeah. Oh, it is an absolute coin toss when you're getting down smashed by Pikachu. Which way is it going to send you? And, well, we saw it. It was exit stage right, but Fenris is going to follow quickly behind, courtesy of an F smash, and that's Jaywalk and Fenris even up at 2 stocks apiece. Relatively even keel for a moderately paced game number 1.
And you can see they're going for their down smash over and over and over again, and I don't blame them. Very powerful, very strong. But I got to tell you, one of my favorite maneuvers with that Pikachu is forcing, my opponent off stage and then hitting them with the Thunderbolt. The Thunderbolt from Pikachu is just so devastating, and it is so pivotal, especially off stage. But again, you really don't want to risk that with a Greninja, who is pretty well, they're pretty well versed when it comes to going off stage. They can definitely hold their own.
Exactly. I mean, you don't want to be getting everything off stage, but you're certainly not exactly suffering either. You have the ability to recover if something goes awry. You have your offensive capabilities, and you have the ability to do a little bit of trickery of your own in terms of the hitboxes that you're able to implement, and maybe even get some stage spikes if it's not ready on the shoulder buttons. But it's going to be a recovery now for Jaywalk, who's going to get off a jab, bring that Pikachu up to 91%, but again, they are in triple digits. Jaywalk is going to feel the thunder fall upon him, and now all of a sudden it's them who's at 1 stock apiece. If they can even it up pretty quickly, they should be okay, but Fenris is trying to put this one out of reach early on.
I love the Thunderbolt so much, and again, I'm used to seeing it so much used off stage as, it's somewhat of a finisher, also a pretty solid edge guard as well, and honestly, that's how they used it. They were edge guarding with that Thunderbolt, and Greninja jumped right on into it. So again, the way that Fenris is adapting to playing against his Greninja as a Pikachu, I think is pretty impressive, even though now we are back tied at 1 stock apiece.
Now we're seeing it, looking for the down smash here, just trying to get Jaywalk to run into their offensive oppositions. Looking for the grab. Again, Jaywalk is doing a good job of not running into everything that Fenris is throwing out, and sometimes it's what you don't do that winds up making the difference. And even though you're at triple digits, Fenris is having to earn every single one of these stocks. Jaywalk is not making it easy.
Absolutely not. And I love that Fenris is showing so much control, so much discipline, because Greninja has tried. We're looking at Jaywalk, and they tried to bait out Pikachu to see if they're going to jump down low to fight them off stage, and Pikachu just simply has not been on the bait once. Meanwhile, they have to recover. They're both in the danger. This honestly could be a one-hit scenario for either of them. As you can see, Greninja now with the up smash, able to find the opening to get the final stock off of Pikachu and the win for Jaywalk.
Jaywalk earned every last bit of that victory. Fenris, good player, but you saw them fall into a very predictable pattern, trying to recover with the headbutt above stage too many times. That's when you saw Jaywalk starting to move back just a little bit, starting to punish with the water kunai and setting them off stage yet again. And when they were trying to establish the offense, going for thunders just a few too many times, Jaywalk showing the patience and then rushing in to punish. So much of that final stock's damage, Captain A, was accumulated off of punishes from headbutt and thunder. And when that pattern started to get pulled up, the water shuriken to supplement, get Fenris jumping, and that's when you start to punish the landing and the up smash to finish it off. That is how you do it if you're Jaywalk. All you got to do is give him a little bit of rope. That Pikachu went and hung itself.
Absolutely. And like you had mentioned earlier, the Pikachu was playing a little bit predictable. They were running the same scheme over and over and over again. They had the script, and that's what we were seeing. And it was working. And, they have the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I respect that. But eventually, it got to the point where the Pikachu wasn't really going for any big plays. They just kept going for the same plays that they knew they worked over and over again. And like I had mentioned earlier, the Greninja kept going off stage. And granted, it was a little bit baity. You don't want to bite on it when the Greninja wants you to, but at a certain point, eventually you do have to step off the platform. You do have to go for something off stage. And as a Pikachu, you can't really rely staying on center stage the entire time. Again, you at some point you have got to take the step over the edge.
Yeah, and Fenris, you can see the machinations of a pretty good player in there. But again, you go into those options that you think are going to work every single time. At what point does you have to realize the other player can adapt too? Like, they're not exactly helpless. They're not going to just run into the same thing over and over again, especially if you're showing the same thing over and over again. Headbutts in neutral, it can work out every now and then, but it needs to be a close-up option, it needs to be a burst option that cannot be simply accounted for, because once that gets adapted to, all of a sudden, that's one of your really good offensive options just gone in a flash. Now you're having to fish for tilts. Now you're having to rely on thunder shocks to maybe reset the momentum and slow things down, which you already know the Greninja can just jump right over and start implementing their game plan. So when you're doing that as a Pikachu, you have really good options. And we saw the willingness to go for those down smashes. Now we need to see more lightning loops. Now we need to see the ability to implement back air into the rotation, make the Greninja's life hell off stage, which Pikachu is fully capable of doing, and start to bring it home. Because that game was super winnable for Fenris, but he needs to get out of that pattern that became instantly recognizable for Jaywalk, because that download was completed really fast.
Oh, absolutely. And then you have to wonder, whether or not they're even going to stick with the Pikachu, because I'll be honest, we're taking a little bit of a long time here in between bouts, so I'm thinking maybe that they're going to be thinking this one over and whether or not they even want to go with the Pikachu again. And for all we know, the way that tonight has been going, we don't even know if the Greninja is going to come back either. We have literally just seen so many players that really just have an arsenal to work with here. You don't know who's going to be coming to the table. But with that match being as close as it was, I wouldn't mind seeing the Pikachu and the Greninja coming back. And honestly, as far as like Pokemon-based players are concerned, honestly, my favorite is the Pokemon trainer. I love me a good Pokemon trainer. I would love to see that as well. But, with that being said, also, it kind of makes me wonder, Pikachu versus Pichu, because I've seen some great Pichu play as well, someone with the same formula as Pikachu, but with a little bit more reward. So again, who knows what we expect to see going into this next matchup, but I just hope it's as good as the first.
I think it will be, because you're seeing, again, some really good quality play, all things told, but it's also going to be a little rough when you're talking about the adaptations that were made on Fenris. Fenris needs to get over that mental block because it could very well turn into one. In this game number 2, it's like, wow, all the things that I was doing just wasn't working out. It's very easy to dig yourself into a hole, mentally speaking. So hopefully that's not happening on Fenris's part. Hopefully this is just deliberation about the stage as opposed to being discouraged or, God forbid, salting about something that happened with the game. Is like, wow, I can't believe I was lagging or something like that. I can't believe that. Like that shouldn't be happening. Fenris, we know why the loss happened. It's okay. Get yourself ready. And it seems like they're about close to ready. But Fenris, again, it can happen, and it can happen with Pikachu. It just needs to be a little bit smarter about how you're implementing the offense. I think utilizing forward air and back air would be certainly helpful, but you're getting the right mixes with in terms of DI off of down smash. You need to make the Greninja question their movement, and that includes their DI as well.
Well, let's get ready to head into a game, as we should just be about ready. And again, it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not they're going to keep the same characters or make any changes. And, like you were saying, we saw so many great plays from Pikachu, but now, that Pikachu player really needs to just dive into the playbook here and pick something and pull something else out. And again, we already seen that there's so many different abilities that the Pikachu can bring, especially off stage, which we did not see anything, unfortunately, coming from Fenris. They did not step off stage once of their own volition on Final Destination. If they did go off stage, it's because Greninja hit them with a back throw or Greninja forced them off stage. But now we need to see Fenris start to imply that in their playstyle, in their fighting with Pikachu, because again, there's just so much potential there. Although we did see a good bit of hefty edge guarding with the Thunderbolt, and I'm all here for that. The Thunderbolt is my favorite move from Pikachu. But again, if you could just extend that a little bit further beyond the stage, you'll be sending Greninja into the blast zone a lot sooner rather than later.
And you're not doing badly with you have that turn. You're going to getting that. You're getting a little bit of electric. Instead, as the back row is going to send Jaywalk off the stage really quickly. Yeah, we're talking about but sometimes you score. You're putting up to 97% off of 3 interactions, and the F smash does send him off the stage. Jaywalk in real trouble as Fenris starts throwing the fists.
Question: Did we see this matchup earlier? I feel like we have definitely seen this matchup earlier. Was it with who that came in with the Kazuya and was going up against a Greninja? I want to say that was Knight and who previously. So this is a matchup that we have seen before, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're right, but you got to be real careful here. Heaven's Door is online. That Rage Art, the red jacket, as us Tekken fans like to call it, is being worn well by Fenris here. Connects on the down air, and this is Heaven's Door territory if you can connect with it, but the Rage Art is going to dissipate as a result of that heavy hit from Jaywalk. Still a full stock lead here for Fenris. If they can capitalize, it's all well and good, but Electric Wind Godfist basically seals a 2-stock lead if Fenris is able to connect with it.
Oh yeah, all it's going to take is, again, one solid opening. We have seen these uppercuts literally send heavies into the blast zone, and now here comes the combo off stage, and there they go. Greninja into the blast zone with 1 stock remaining, now trying to get the revenge stock in kind, but Kazuya Fenris still standing.
Kazuya Mishima. My goodness, it is going to be a down smash that winds up taking the first stock off of Fenris, and Jaywalk is going to need to be careful. You need to be judicious with when you interact, because Kazuya actually has a few buttons that you can perhaps contend with Greninja, but I don't know how willing Jaywalk is going to be to charge forward. At the very least, you need to be smart about it, because you do not want to knuck up with the Mishima in any game.
Yeah, and but that's one thing that we mentioned earlier that Greninja was really good at is, really picking and prodding their opponent, knowing when to go in and deal the damage and being able to avoid the danger and get out of dodge and kind. Again, Greninja, very, very speedy, able to go in and out, and it looks like they're trying to work that angle onto this Kazuya right now, but Fenris able to recover back to center stage, does manage to get one hit off, and again, we're in the danger, as it will be the final stock now gone from Jaywalk, as Fenris manages to answer back and send us into a round 3.
Gotta love finishing it off with the Rage Art, and that is a really good KO for Fenris, taking it all the way to game number 3, and suddenly the Greninja pick looking a little shaky because you're getting tagged for so much damage. All of a sudden, the strategies that you were relying upon, the ability to get in and out and tag and sort of stick and move, is in question because it can get blown up with 2 or 3 interactions. You need to be perfect with this Greninja, and Fenris is demanding as such because, if I can get 30 percentage points on you, I can KO you at 90, especially on Pokemon Stadium 2, the shortest competitive ceiling in the map list.
And that's where I was really expecting Greninja to shine because, again, Greninja, as well as they are off stage, when you put them on Pokemon Stadium 2 and that ceiling isn't quite as high, Greninja has a really good up tilt that it follows into, of course, to an up air, and they can really make advantage of that low ceiling. But again, Kazi, I think they could just make a little bit more. Again, just how far that you get with that knockback potential that comes from Kazuya, be it, from your uppercuts, be it from the choke slam. It's there's just so much. The rage dive, again, just for the finish off the rage drive, is there's so much knockback potential there, and being on Pokemon Stadium with such a low ceiling, it's kind of like being fed to the fodder.
Exactly, and you have so many things that are available to you as Kazuya, so many resources. What is it that you're going to be able to do against something like that? As Greninja, you have the ability to get the opponent off the stage. At the very least, you have that, but it's not going to be easy to be able to implement anything else in terms of offense that you're prompting, apart from maybe Water Shuriken. Even then, that's just chip damage. You need to be waiting, baiting, and then punishing. So if you're able to connect with a parry, off of something that's perhaps especially punishable, not necessarily any of your jab moves, but something like Flash Punch, if you're able to get the parry off of that, that's perhaps your opening. But even then, like you have a few options from Kazuya that are minus on shield heavily. You need to rely on the quickness of your character in those situations to be able to connect. You just have to understand how far you can go with your combos, because otherwise you're getting blown up pretty heavily, like we saw there.
Yeah, and now as we get ready to head into our next matchup, you have to wonder, we've already seen one character switch already from the Pikachu to the Kazuya. Are we going to see another? Like, if I was Kazuya right now, I would not make a switch at all. That was just a fantastic game. That was a fantastic set. There's no reason for them to switch. If you're the Greninja, honestly, I don't see much reason for you to switch either, because, again, I think they've been playing phenomenally. But with that being said, again, this has been so far in the late half of today and the latter half, it has been all about character switches. Again, we're seeing some pretty interesting character swaps being made in the middle of these matches. So again, who knows what's going to happen?
And there's no real way to tell other than to stick around and find out. Don't you go away. We ain't going to either. You're watching Smash here at VESL. And welcome back to Smash here at VESL. So I believe we're going to be concluding the group play right about here. We saw some amazing stuff, Captain A, and gotta say it's getting me really pumped up for the playoffs. We are going to see some of the best in the Carolinas going at it. But what are your big takeaways from these past 2 days of group play?
Honestly, just watch out for the players who clearly have high versatility with other players. And with that being said, do not let anything that happened in the group play have you underestimate anyone going into playoffs, because again, it's going to be a completely different ball game. From what I'm heard, it's single elimination. So if you underestimate your opponent just once, it could knock you out of the bracket. So again, sleep on no one. Bring your best for every opponent, because again, we have just seen so many surprises coming through. And again, never going to be forgetting Coco Nate for just the absolute monster they were on Piranha Plant, switching up to Banjo and Kazooie, and then almost taking down who was such a great heavy brawler. They were a great player to watch. And again, I'm just really excited to see what new tricks that we might see be pulled tomorrow for the playoffs.
It's going to be interesting. And yeah, we saw a bevy of characters again, just ranging all throughout the tiers, whether it's the high tiers like the Clouds and Palutinas, as we saw yesterday, to even like Inklings and Incineroars, Piranha Plants, and Banjos galore. Just, I mean, you were talking about how good some of these players were. No shortage of quality throughout these group stages, and now we're getting even more of that, even more concentrated as we go into the playoffs.
Yeah, and just to recap, again, we got to see Jamal the Best taking on Taiwa just to start things off, off the rip. And of course, Jamal was the one to take that. And then we had Enlightened Moai that was going up against, Armadillo 490. And you haven't even mentioned earlier that we're not going to forget about Armadillo 490. They were also a fantastic player, even though Enlightened was the one that ended up taking that dub. And then following that one, we had Dat Marshall versus Coco Moon. And, I'm wondering, possibly if Coco Moon and Coco Nate might know one another. Again, we had two Cocos throughout today, so that was interesting. And then after that, we had Fleets and Evolved Human. Again, Evolved Human was looking pretty strong as well. And then this is where we get our introductory into Who, that big heavy that went up against Knight. Knight was one of our first Greninjas that we got to see, and they performed very well. And again, Who just coming out with the diversity of being able to use K. Rool and also being able to use Bowser was extraordinary. And then after that, Who was the only player that had a doubleheader today, because right after going up and getting the win overnight, they came through against Coco Nate, who started things out with a Piranha Plant. They ended up falling to Who's Bowser, I want to say. And then the next match, it was the King K. Rool being followed up, going up against the Piranha Plant. Piranha Plant ended up winning in that one. And then finally, to end things off in that series, it was Who coming back as Bowser to take on the Banjo and Kazooie of Coco Nate, and nearly falling to Banjo. Again, Coco Nate definitely going to be a player I'm looking out for tomorrow.
Exactly. No shortage of quality throughout these playoffs, strewn all throughout the bracket as it's going to develop. Cannot wait to see how it all plays out. And again, the diversity of characters that are coming through. We're seeing again, a shortage of perhaps the really definitive winner here, because it really, maybe it's just going to come down to these are unpolished players, sure, but then again, it's pressure that creates diamonds, and we could very well be seeing one shining through in the next couple of days. But there's only one way to know for sure, and that is to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, follow us, go ahead and support VESL however you possibly can. Captain at Sulka, where can they find you on socials while we're plugging things?
You know what? This is going to be really difficult, okay? So you take my name, and then you put an @ symbol in front of it. Just Captain at Soka, and that's just going to be all your socials right there. It doesn't matter which one. I'm on all of them, but I'll be honest, I post mostly to Twitter or X or whatever you call it. The that one. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think we get it. And I'll try to remember that. If you try to remember to do the same for mine at Stu the Announcer. Shout outs once again, Slothman, Risk, Vaudable, like the entire team over there is just absolutely pulling strings, putting out fires, doing everything that they possibly can to make this production happen. And they're doing a sterling job of it, if I may add. And we're going to be doing that all the way through the playoffs. So stick with us here at VESL for some more Smash action. Alongside Captain Atsuka, I'm Stu the announcer. Take care of yourselves, and until we meet again,